In the name of Ahmen the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, and Ahmen we trust, as the Republic of Mentellect, the true 144,000 being gathered in this day and time, the Mentellians. Menzeka Aminun to all my Mentellian brothers and sisters out there, registered members of the Republic of Mentellect, and to all future Mentellians who have yet to find their home to the Republic of Mentellect, which is Amen's covenant. I send greetings out to you, and I send peace out to you in our Mentellian language by saying to you, Menzeka Aminun. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is Mentellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the serpent technology of the Ahmen Bing. Yeah, make no mistake about it that everything, the very important things here that are dealing with tubing and, circular tubing and things like that, and tubing that carries power, right, is serpent technology. The man's penis is based on serpent technology. The arteries in your body, the capillaries, the veins, the whole pulmonary system is based on serpentine technology. The woman's fallopian tubes, which carry eggs. If you look at your fallopian tubes really good, they look like two serpents. And this is a design that the Ahmen Bings structured the biological functions on. Serpentine technology. When a man has sex, he ejaculates or he comes, and it looks as though it's like it's the same effect as a snake biting and spewing out venom. It's all the same thing, right? The biological structure is designed after serpents. The way that the blood courses through the veins, the capillaries, the whole pulmonary system, the way the blood shoots through this tubing is based on serpentine technology. The same way blood courses through it, the same way venom courses through a snake, and the same venom will course through you if you were bitten by a serpent. Right? It is the fastest moving rotative system, the serpentine system. Right? And because of this, your medical symbol, your doctors and your medical people, they have the serpent symbol, which they call a caduceus, right? That is a symbol of medicine, right? The early pharaohs, they used serpents heavily in the venom and making all sorts of antivirus, antitoxins and things like that, and cures for things. They used it for medicine. A lot of the serpent's venom was used in medicine rituals. And they figured out that the biological tubing in the body was based on a serpentine technology or design. Right? Again, this is why they use the serpent in the medical symbol, and then they put the wings on. What does the wings represent? It represents flight or levitation. Right? It represents flight or levitation. And that's basically saying that the serpentine or a serpentine race of beings from on high delivered this technology to man and constructing man. That's really what the symbol represents. A serpentine-like people, the Ahmen Bing, right, utilize that serpent technology here on Earth in the biological destruction and design of man and woman, right? The way the woman carries eggs through a fallopian tube, that's pure serpentine technology. And I said the core foundation of your brain is reptilian, right? That's all serpentine technology, because the serpents were used on Earth as ley lines, the original ley lines and relay systems, right? Which is why they carry an electrical charge when they bit you with their venom. And I said also that the water serpent, which is the electric eel, also carries it. It's nothing but a water serpent, right? So these technologies were good at relaying messages and passing messages through, and relaying and passing messages through. This is why your biological structure works on a what? A messaging system. It works on a messaging system. You receive transmission or projection from the brain in the crown seat, and it travels down throughout the body, sending messages, charges, series of charges, jolts, right? Same way the system of wiring is set up. You'll look inside of a cable, there's one main cable, and inside of the cable is a lot of wiring. If you look at the design of a serpent, you cut up, it's a lot of arteries, veins, same similar thing, right? And it carries a whole bunch of ability for electrical charge, right? The serpent technology is heavy here as a mark of the Ahmen being, right? A form of wiring. I said your major form of transport here was your train system. And I said if you look at how trains move and whatnot on track, they move like serpents. They're designed that way to move like a reptile, like a snake, right? Serpent. Your first ley lines, your first relay systems to the Ahmen being, right? These serpent beings who crawled about. And like I said, the reference to being as wise as a serpent could not have been speaking about actual snakes. It had to represent a serpentine-like intelligent people, right? It had to represent them because serpents are not wise, right? They have instinct in which they are programmed to have. They're programmed to have instinct, right? And they're really just live wires. That's all they are, live wires. Just like the technology within your body is nothing but live wires. When those wires are cut, when they are severed, say if you're stabbed, if you're shot, or anything happens to you, and you sever an artery, a major artery, right, or something like that, what happens? The relay system, which was transporting your blood through these arteries, then bleeds out and into a system where blood was supposed to continuously flow through that artery or through that tubing or that serpent technology was supposed to keep flowing through there, and it overloads your system with blood that's not supposed to be in that area of your body, right? And you start to bleed internally, and through there you die, right? Your blood begins to poison other parts of your body, like venom. That's the poison. Because ask yourself this: why would it matter if you bled within your own body, if your body has blood in it? Why would it matter? Answer: because you have toxins, right, that you're breathing in and you're pushing out, and it's going out through your bloodstream. You have toxins in your bloodstream that are meant to be carried out in certain arteries, certain capillaries and things like that. And if those arteries are severed or cut, you will bleed out all that toxin into your body. That's what kills you. Not the actual blood. The toxin in the blood kills you. Because they're meant to carry out all of the poisons that you take into your body. Your body was designed on that serpentine technology, on that serpent technology, meaning the same biological structure of a serpent. I said your core foundation is that of a serpent after the Ahmen being. Directly after them. Right? And like I said, your medical industry bears witness to this. Even in the ancient world, we bore witness to this. We bore witness to all of this technology that was serpentine-like. So, and I said at one point in time, you won't need to cut into people to repair things or fix things within them. You'll be able to merge those arteries, capillaries, veins, whatever, back together if they are broken. They'll send, like, if, for example, if you have a heart attack, right, or you have some sort of stoppage or blockage in your vein, they give you what? Nitrogen pills, right? They give you nitrogen as a form of explosion to open up the capillaries in the ventricle and the capillaries and things in your heart ventricles and whatnot in those tubings, right? You're given that. And what does that represent? The spark of the charge, the same spark and the charge of the electrical power, the energy that the serpent carries, which is what you have in you through solar transmission. You have the same thing. The so-called Caucasian, they have to pick it up through the drinking of a lot of water. I told you they move off of a lunar frequency. This is why, if you notice, they have to drink constantly a lot of water. They require more water than we do. We take our water, we take our transmission or our charge through sunlight. They lie to you when they claim, oh, black people are not designed to pull in the sun. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So-called black people are vitamin D deficient. That's a lie. They saying that our carbon blocks out the sun. Why would we be here and have carbon in our skin that blocks out the sun? Right? Why would we be here and have that? Why would we be made with carbon that blocks out the sun as opposed to it pulling in sunlight? Right? As opposed to it pulling in and filtering out certain things. That's the whole point of it. This is all a form of serpentine technology. Right? All of it. The potency a man has, right, the ability to reproduce, is based on that serpentine charge. That serpentine charge and the familiarity of that sperm or that semen with the woman's egg, right, to cause that spark, which carries from the solar projection that works its way down into the brain of the man, the medulla oblongata of the man, carrying all the way down into the spinal column and out through the testicles, through this penis, to carry that solar charge to it, is the same charge as if a serpent were to bite you. Right? If a serpent were to bite you and it stings, it's the same thing as a man who carries potency in his sperm having intercourse with a woman to produce a child. That same charge goes in there to produce motion or movement in those eggs, to fertilize. All right? That's all serpentine technology. All of it. Everything that we do in the tubing system, right? Because I think they refer to it in certain parts of the world, they refer to their subway systems as the tube, right? They refer to it as the tube. You even refer to television as the tube, right? Tubes. You look in the ancient worlds in Egypt, you see that most of the messages were in what they call cartouche, which is a form of tubing. Okay? And in those messages, within those messages, they carry transmission, right? Within those tubings. When they used to send messages and things like that, what did they do? They put it within tubings, and they would seal up the tubes, right? All serpent technology passed down from the Ahmen being to encase something within something and to cause movement or motion. Serpent technology is the carrying of power through a tubing system. That's it. That's serpentine technology. And all the foundation of everything that's here, from communication to biological makeup and structure, is based on serpentine technology. Why? Because that serpent race of beings, the Ahmen being, were the first ones to produce it, as they produced it on other planets. And they demanded, or when they did the creation, of man, they set up the same biological structure in man, relay systems, right? Because that's what your your arteries and ventricles and all this shaped like wires. Look inside the body. I was going to put it up there, and it's really shaped like small serpents. The capillaries, all that, is shaped like small serpents. You understand? And why somebody said in my chat room that the sperm is shaped like a serpent. The reason why it's shaped like a serpent is because it comes out of the tubing of a penis. The penis is shaped like a serpent, so therefore what comes out of it is going to be shaped the same way. The penis, the shape of the penis gives the sperm its shape. Right? So it comes out that way. And again, it's the same technology. Same technology. We have to, once we figure out and learn how serpents move, watch, I tell people, watch how serpents move. The study of serpents is very key in understanding the biological structure and makeup and the messages of technology and things like that because, like I said, we were given that symbol of the serpent for a reason, right? And why serpents were considered to be wise, those who wore the symbol of the serpent were considered to be wise, right? And why the beast turned around and said that the devil is represented by the serpent to keep people away from the wisdom of the serpent, which was really the Ahmen being, to keep us away from that. Because once we realized the movement of the serpent, once we realized that how everything was set up in order by way of the Serpentine technology, by way of the Ahmen being who were the Serpentine-like race who came here, who took on the genetic material of those serpent beings that they implanted in every planet, and then bred life after those serpentine beings that they put here, then you understand the movement and the structure of everything. You understand the movement and the structure. You understand the technology, even how your guns are made, right? How is your guns made? There's a barrel and there's a bullet, right? And you shoot the bullet, right? Same way, again, same way the serpent technology works, right? Same way. You shoot out the bullet from the barrel, right? And the bullet has to be shaped like the barrel in order for it to come out, right? It has to be shaped that way. The sperm seeks the egg, right? The sperm seeks out the egg when it comes out and it ejaculates into a woman is seeking the egg to fertilize, right? To bite into or to penetrate the egg, to fertilize it, right? To bring life. That is totally serpentine technology, right? The life of the serpent. You want to learn how all the technology here work. At the foundation of it all is serpentine technology. Even the way lightning strikes. How does lightning move? Lightning moves in a zigzag formation. That's how lightning really comes down, in a zigzag formation, right? Isn't that not the way the serpent moves? You understand? All of it is based on that. The wiring, the fiber, the fiber optics, all of that, right? Obstetrics, right? Obstetricians, right? A little bit different in the spelling, but again, it's dealing with the, what do they call the wiring of a woman, or they call a woman's plumbing, right? They call that the plumbing of the woman. What is the plumbing? The plumbing is the tubes, the wiring, right? The cable, right? They call it all that, right? The pipes, right? The piping as in plumbing. That's all serpentine technology. Anything with tubing is made to push things through is serpent technology, right? And things being shaped from that to pass things through, serpentine technology, the foundation, the base of all things. And it will also be the continuation of life going into the outer dimensions. There's going to be trains. And see, people didn't understand why trains were so variegated in the society, because see, trains are going to be the next wave moving into the outer dimensional realms. They're going to be outer dimensional trains that move in a serpentine like motion. They're going to be outer dimensional trains, meaning trains, same way you get on a train and go from station to station, you're going to be able to get on a train and go from dimension to dimension, time frame to time frame. That's coming in the future. You understand? That's why the technology of the train had to come here as a serpentine technology. Look at the movement of the train and the track it moves on. Right? It moves the same way as a serpent. Right? Again, also Somebody said that as well because you have flying serpents, right? So again, the planes are shaped like serpents too. Somebody brought that up. I'm glad my people thinking. The airplanes are shaped like serpents with wings, right? You had flying serpents, right? You had flying serpents. Again, the serpents were the first form of reptile that were really here, the land reptiles. And from them came the bigger and the greater reptiles, the extended reptilians. But the serpent was the first one here, right? And everybody that comes out of that serpent seed, right? Because the serpent represents the first or the prime reptile. The serpent really represents the prime reptilian. Then all other reptilians evolve or come from that reptile, that serpent. They grow out of that. The serpent is like the baby, right? Or the first or the prime to all reptiles. Everything comes out of the serpent, right? Everything. The crocodiles, everything comes from that serpentine connection, right? Because the serpent was the first one to be able to move through water. And where did life start? Here, before even humans, started in water. You got water serpents, do you not? You got all these, because all reptiles are not able to move in water. So anything that lived here first had to be in the water. They had to be in the water. So what would be the first relay systems and the first ley lines that the Ahmen being would lay here that would move through the water? Serpents. Serpents. When they showed you that movie, they talked about the big water serpents and whatnot, what they referred to as Leviathan, right? Giant serpent-like creature. That's real. That's real. The Ahmen beings were using them as big ley lines in the water. Right? They were using them as big ley lines. And they would also use them to pull land mass, the first ones to pull out the land mass. Right? They were the first ones to pull out. The dinosaurs started pulling up everything else later, but the first ones to bring up the land mass was your water serpents. They were used that way. See, a lot of these things you see, a lot of these creatures you see in movies like the serpent and the rainbow, the flying reptiles and all this other stuff, that's real. The white man knows that those are real. Those were real reptiles that existed on the earth. They found the remains of them. They might not tell you about it, but where does the imagination for that come from? They obviously had to see it somewhere. See, because again, like I told you, you cannot imagine anything. You don't have any imagination. Everything that you get reception from. You either seen it somewhere before, or somebody transmitted it to you. You don't have no imagination. You don't just think of nothing on your own. So if they showing you flying serpents, obviously there were flying serpents here at one time, right? And you see it on the ancient walls and whatnot. Okay, you see it on the walls. Again, we became the intelligent serpents. We became the engineering serpent beings. That's what your Ahmen being were. They were the engineers of the serpentine technology. They were the ones who engineered the serpent, right, which was used as a physical machine to create all sorts of reptilian life forms to do the first work here on Earth to pull the land masses up and to fertilize the land, right? They were the first ones to do that. The first ley lines, the first relay systems directly to them because they needed beings in the water, serpent beings in the water, to relay messages back to. And they used the water serpents, those big water serpents, right, that you see they use them. And they also use them as to float things on, right? To float land pieces of land on, and sometimes they even rode them. That image of man riding on a big water serpent, that's real. These Ahmen beings were doing that. Their projected images here on Earth were riding on the water serpents, right? They knew how to communicate with them. Where did they show you that in Uh, um, like I said, in the White Man's movie, he shows you all that because that's what the Ahmen Bing were doing. Like I said, they found the remnants because they go looking for everything here. They found the remnants of those mega serpents here. Why is the serpent so virulent here? Because it was the first machine that they used. It was the first physical machine that they used here to relay messages. The first one that they transmitted messages to after they planted them here into the water. They planted them here into the water, and those were the first beings to move on the earth to take messages and frequency and whatnot. And then they start to breed the rest from them out of the water. And they felt like they were very receptive, so what did they do? They projected and took genetic material to bring forward or project themselves here with that same uh, um, genetic material and makeup. Same genetic material and makeup so that it would be easier to transmit messages to them. They would have to have the same mental connection, the same genetic material that they transmitted here to them because they did it in other worlds before. That serpent is not just native to Earth. That serpent is not native to Earth. That's why when they show you things, movies like Superman, what are they doing? They're showing you a race of people on another planet with what? The serpent. Wearing the same serpent symbol on Earth. Why is that serpent symbol so prominent? Why is it so prominent? Because it represents a race of highly intelligent beings who a man would call scientists who produced and used that technology in the creation of man and the projection of themselves here, the manifestation of themselves here, and all the foundation and technology here. The trees are based on serpent technology. Everything in nature is based on serpent technology. The way the trees grow. I'll take a call. 410.
Hey, Newman. This is Julian here, calling from Baltimore. I had a couple questions for you.
Okay.
I actually had a question about something that's kind of off topic, but what you're saying right now is really relaying to what I've been thinking about. But I actually have a question. Do you happen to know about anything about monatomic gold?
I know about it.
Can you go into detail about it?
Well, what they say is monatomic gold is the melting down gold and consuming it, and certain elemental medicines and things like that. They do it with silver and things like that. So their theory is that the gold could help in curing certain diseases and things like that, and relaying, or keeping certain diseases at bay. I know they use monatomic gold to ingest.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what I've researched on my own personally. I actually take something called Ethereum gold, and I've noticed a change in my body just by experimenting. They say that it helps with just increasing the vibrations of the body.
Well,
yeah.
That's what they say. But my thing is, what are you vibrating toward? So you have to vibrate towards something, because if you're sensitive to sound, aka vibration and tones, what are you sensitive to? What are you picking up? And that vibration that you're, trying, that you say is extending you. See, again, gold really has, no value other than it being used as a receptor. It's used more as a receptor, and they use it to, as certain shields on things and whatnot to shield out certain light and things like that. and
Yeah.
I know they used it on. I believe they used it on the spaceships and whatnot
Mm.
to, when they were going toward going into the going to the moon, so they say. But you know, the use of gold would be more valuable outside the solar system as you're passing through the so-called belt and whatnot and moving into another solar system. Then the use of that would be more valuable. See, that's what they want to ultimately do. The ingestion of
Mm.
gold, right, as monatomic gold and things like that. 9 times out of 10, they're not giving you real gold to ingest. The people that
Mm.
are, the people that, because there was a point in time where they were trying to buy up the gold and things like that. And they, I don't know if you saw commercials. Any gold you have, bring it in, and this, that, and the third, and whatnot. You had certain people
Yeah.
ingesting it, but nine
Mm.
times out of 10, they're not going to give you real gold to ingest.
So, okay. So what type of gold would it be? Do you happen to know?
Well, I mean, it would be what they call pure 24 karat gold, if anything, to ingest. And then, you ingesting what they consider to be a precious metal, but they never tell you why it's precious. They never tell you why exactly it's precious. Other than the fact that they use it as a form of receptor or a
Yeah.
what's the word I want to say? Uh, uh, um, connector to to sound and
Yeah.
frequency and whatnot. So
Mm.
if people are gonna ingest it for that, you got to be mindful of what you might end up picking up within this three-dimensional state if you are ingesting gold,
Okay.
which you're
Yeah.
gonna either pick up.
Okay. Yeah. I hear you.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
A conductor. A conductor.
Okay.
Gold is a good conductor.
Gotcha.
You know.
So, you said uh, uh, something on the lines of receptor. I remember hearing that about the gold. You said.
Yeah. Conductor. Receptor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
would that increase I remember researching and hearing about how the ancient Egyptians also ingested the gold. There was I came across terms called mukusti. That was one of the names that one of the Egyptians had called it. What are your thoughts on the ancient Egyptians ingesting the gold, the so-called gold?
Yeah. I don't really have any thoughts because I mean that's of their time. I don't. I don't. I don't know any thing whether they did it in their time, whether they ingested gold. They probably did. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I don't think it had any real. I don't think it had any real long-term benefits for them. In doing that.
Mm.
I don't think it had any real
That's
long-term benefits.
interesting. That's interesting.
I mean, because what gold does, if anything, it's going to coat certain things. Right? It's a metal, and it will begin to coat around certain parts of your body. You're not going to be able to just pass it out. See, you have to be mindful of ingesting things that you can't really pass out, because if you're drinking something, it's meant for you to eventually pass it out. So what do? Do you urinate out gold? How do you defecate it out? If it stays in your body, then it's going to coat onto something. Okay?
Gotcha. Yeah. But have you heard of like our bodies being made of any like these types of minerals or elements, like
Yeah, your
gold,
body's made.
silver?
Yeah, your body has these things in them, which again is why I seriously doubt in people, the idea of people drinking or taking in gold unless they were deficient of it in some way, shape, or form, because obviously we have the right genetic material makeup and mineral balance in our body. So what are we doing? We're adding minerals that were not naturally there. What are we doing in doing that? The only way you're supposed to add a mineral to your body if you are deficient in it. And I've never heard anybody being gold deficient, because gold is not a major, it's not really something major a major element that you would need in your body.
Mm. Interesting.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
As you're saying stuff, a lot of stuff is coming to my mind.
mhm.
Cool. That's great information. I'm glad. This is a good conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank
cause
you.
I like my personal experience when I'm just saying I've taken you know the gold itself
They
from
they also try to push colloidal silver. So I mean,
yeah.
silver, gold. Where does it stop at? Where's the difference in? You need zinc. If anything more, whatever you're supposed to be deficient in is what you're supposed to need. Why
Gotcha.
put something in your body? Because you might offset the mineral content of your body by taking in gold and drinking gold and whatnot, or drinking colloidal silver. You might offset the mineral balance that you already have.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They also say it helps with the DNA and optimizing it and increasing the potential of it, as well as
I
psychic powers.
mm, say no, no,
Mm.
mm-mm,
Yeah.
nope. They say a lot of stuff and whatnot because if people actually really thought that more people would ingest it and whatnot, as opposed to trying to trade it and things like that, because again, uh, the only reason that gold is considered to be of any real value, it goes back to the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemites and whatnot, because they would
Mhm.
store gold and things like that, and the Ahmen being who needed it, they would come and take it and use it, just like in the Sumer, they would come take it and use it for crafts to come in and out when they were coming in and out, out of the
Yeah.
atmosphere. They would
Yeah.
use it for that. So
Ah.
they would store that there, and they would let it germinate because all the gold deposits here in these planets that they stored here are
Mm.
basically like filling stations. They come and take the gold as they let it germinate into the planet, and then they take it as they need it. The people were
Yeah.
supposed to dig it out. The people were supposed to dig it out. So the Sumerian story is correct when they say about the people digging the gold out. They was digging it out for them so they can apply it to their ships. Because they
Mm.
planted the gold here for that purpose. It wasn't really put here for people to be wearing and using as some kind of monetary system.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's nice. That's great. That's great information. Um. One last question.
Mhm.
Um. I'm actually very interested in increasing, I guess, uh, like my, I guess abilities. I guess is the right word to say. I guess what I'm trying to do is like look toward telepathic powers, being able to just increase my DNA potential. Essentially, I guess is what I'm saying, and I'm just asking you a question in regards to how do I increase that potential.
How do you increase it?
Yes.
Well, you have to have a purpose for wanting it. See, like everything, you
Mhm.
have to have a reason for wanting power. You can't just want it just because, it's a toy. Most time people
Mhm.
want power because it's like they look at it as an ability like a toy to play with. And it's not supposed to
Yeah.
be played with, nor is it supposed to be taken by people who don't understand the real purpose of having it. Everything that you ask for has to have a reason. You
Gotcha.
understand? You
Yeah,
don't
that
have a
makes sense.
reason for it other than I just want to have that ability, then you're not going to get it because the
Gotcha.
ones who the Amen being who cut loose or make that ability available to the ones within the three dimension do so because those people are meant to do something greater with it, not
Mm.
not as those people who are just going to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not going to just
Okay.
use it to be like because I just
Yeah.
want a new toy to play with.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just rephrase the question. What happens if I wanted to gain those abilities with my purpose of raising the elect? Like, how would I? Yeah, I guess we could just go from there.
Somebody's here already doing that.
Gotcha.
So it wouldn't be no need for you doing it, because you saying it to me as if I'm you asking me for permission to give you that power or tell you how to do it, and I can't do that because that's not, it's not my job to open people, to cut loose any of that. All I do is open certain people up to it because they serve a purpose in the future plans of the Ahmen being. Those are the ones who are going to receive it, the elect, not people who just want it for a toy. Or just say, oh, what if I want to do? No, there's no what if. The Ahmen being know who you are, and they know who you are not, and they're not going to give it to people who are not part or of that elect who serve the purpose. They're not going to give that through. So you can drink all the gold, silver, all you want to. It's not going to come like that. They're only going to give that ability to those who serve a purpose within the bigger picture of what they're laying out.
Wow. That makes sense. Wow. Okay, so are there, with that being said, you had mentioned that, those abilities are only going to come to people who are chosen to serve a higher purpose, correct?
Yep.
Are there, like, other people, I guess, outside of the Republic of Mentellect who are doing that, who have those abilities?
Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume so. I mean, you gotta have certain people that have bits and pieces of things like that. But the difference between them and the people who are being gathered in the Republic is, as the elect, we're gonna receive it stronger because it's gonna be done with a collective purpose, as opposed to those little individuals who get bits and pieces of it, who play a small part in the bigger picture. But then after a while, after their part is played out, then that's gonna fade. But the people who are part of the extended picture always continuously are going to harness all of that power. So eventually, anybody who's getting those little bits of psychic power, whatever things they get, it's going to stop because it's all going to be drawn up by the collective. It's like, for example, when you see I'm using a business terminology, when you have a big corporation that's put together, right, and it's swallowing up all the business, all the little mom and pop stores are going to get swallowed up. So all them people, them little people getting their little psychic abilities and whatnot, when the behemoth comes, the big behemoth elect come, who are going to channel in the Ahmen being power, they're going to swallow up all of that energy and all of that telepathic power, and everything is going to go to them.
Gotcha. That's a very good analogy.
All right.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah, because I came across another person by the name of Gano Grills. I don't know if you're familiar with Gano Grills.
Yeah, I heard of these people. Yeah.
Yeah. He's I've looked into a couple of his videos. He claims that he's in communication with Lord Thoth, and he talks about a lot of stuff. That is pretty interesting, and I actually want your thoughts on it. If you have any,
I don't, brother. I don't have any thoughts on these black people. I don't have thoughts on black people, brother. Like, not like that. I don't.
Okay.
My thoughts is only focused on Ahmen. That's it.
I respect it.
Yeah, I don't have no thoughts on these conscious people at all.
Gotcha. All right. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Nubin. Thank you for answering my questions.
All right. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. Everything is supposed to be done with a purpose. If you don't have any purpose on receiving the power, then you're not going to get it. That's how that works. The knowledge your knowledge starts with the understanding of the serpent technology. And like I said, this is not some spiritual thing. This is not some voodoo thing. This ain't some ritualistic thing. It's just what it is, technology. Technical knowledge. Technical knowledge on the serpentine structure and fixture and foundation of all things in existence. Right? Your genetic material follows a serpentine technology. Right? Everything you do in a society, like I said, from your limbs, your expenditures, everything follows a serpentine technology. If you put your hands together, right, you stretch your hand out and you put your thumb against the four fingers of your four fingers, it looks like the open mouth of a serpent. Your hand is designed like a serpent. Your hand is designed like a serpent's head. Look at it. Put your fingers together against the four parts of your, and you look at it from the side. That's the mouth and open mouth of a serpent. Okay. All this is designed by a purpose. How you pick up things with your hands is serpent technology. Right? It's like a mouth of a serpent opening up and grabbing things. Right? Same way the mouth of a serpent opens up and grabs things, the same way your hands and your muscles extend to grab and pick up things. It's the same thing. Right? It all translates that way. So again, once we understand the serpent, once we understand the journey of the serpent, once we understand the collection or the collective of the serpent, then we understand the technology on a greater level. We understand more. Not less, but more. A lot of people don't want you to stay away from that. That's why they push the serpent as evil. They push the serpent as the devil. They do all that for a reason, to keep you away, to keep you out of that knowledge of the serpent and the transmission it carries. We'll be right back. The reason why you have saliva in your mouth is because saliva is a low-grade form of venom. I'm going to say it again. Saliva has acid in it. You have stomach acid. Saliva is really a weak form of venom in your mouth. And it is used when you start to chew on things, that acid starts to dissolve food in your mouth. The same acid that venoms have. That the serpents have. Same one. Do you know why really the doctors use the serpent symbol? You know why they really use it? It's the same reason why the Ahmen used it, why the ancient Kemites and the Nubians used it, the physicians back then, like Imhotep and them, they used it because they considered themselves to be engineers of the serpentine technology, which is really the basis of biological structure. They considered themselves to be engineers, meaning they knew how the system worked. That's why they use it as a symbol. They use it as a symbol to show that they know how the system works. So when I say the Ahmen beings use the serpent symbol, they use it because they understand and they are the engineers of that system. That's why they use it. The serpentine technology is what they had projected and created here on the earth. They projected it and created it on other planets as well. So they became the engineers of that technology in the biological structure and makeup of man and woman and the planet. Right? You have muscles that expand and contract like a boa constrictor. That's serpentine technology. Right? That's serpentine technology. Right? Your animals have tails that follow serpentine technology. This is why your animals have tails. Their tails, if you notice, their tails tend to move on their own. Right? Their tails are really, have nerves and things like that, and they use their tails to pick up things. Like as far as feel things out, direct them in a certain kind of way. That's all serpentine technology. Right? That's serpentine technology. Okay? I want to say, let me take a call while I got them up here. Hold on. 1 second. 704.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
You may have explained this, but I called in a little late. So, we are like the pathways in the body where intelligence passes through. It's based on the it's like based on how venom flows to a serpent, correct?
Yep.
All right. So, when it comes to the brain and then like neurotransmitters and things like that, are each neurons like individual serpents, or is it like the entire like neural connection, like one serpent, and it's like all of the intelligence is flowing through one serpent?
It flows through multiple streams, but there's always uh, one main uh, vein or artery, as they call it. It's always a main connection, but it flows through many small ones.
Okay. All right. And this topic, it's interested me to the point where I want to research because I was already planning on becoming a researcher on like how you were talking about how there's more to our bodies than the humans, but considering no one of the like of bronze race, they don't go to college to like study this type of profession. I was wondering, what would be a good starting point in researching the serpentine, like researching how the intelligence flows through the body like that? Like, where would be a good starting point to kind of expand on this knowledge?
You can start with you study the movement of a serpent, right? Study or whatever the study is
Okay.
called, the study of the serpents and whatnot, reptilian study of that serpent, because they have whole study dedicated to the life or the species of serpent. So you start studying that, then you study the biological and genetic makeup and of people, the biological structure, and uh, you look at the that which is resembles each other, and you get a better understanding of uh, pathological and the movement of blood and things of that nature, and the biological structure and makeup in connection with the serpent. You'll get a better understanding of it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. So all the major, like I said, all of the major technology starts with that serpentine technology. They have not stopped using the serpentine technology. All right. They have not stopped using the serpentine technology. The serpentine technology is at the base of all advanced technology because the Ahmen beings have always extended the knowledge of the serpentine technology. And in fact, you know, our bodies are supposed to follow an extended version of serpentine technology as we channel into that what they call junk genetic material, junk DNA. As we channel into that, our body follows an extended version of that serpentine technology. Again, this is why they use black people, so-called black people, in uh, scientific experiments because they know that your genetic material is far more advanced than theirs, than the so-called white man and everybody else because you've been here the longest. They know that your genetic material is far more advanced than theirs. When they did the thing about the babies, I put the thing up on my wall about the babies. It's how the baby, so-called black baby, aka bronze baby, they sitting up with their head straight within the course of hours. I forgot how they said it, right? And they're cognizant and they're looking forward. It takes the created babies, the humanoid babies, the Caucasoid babies, and all the rest of these human created babies here longer because they are artificial, right? You have the direct current or the direct projection of serpentine technology in your body, so you're already born alert. You're already born alert because you have that pure connection, that direct, that connect that direct connection to them. Again, this is why they use people like your Henrietta Lacks and all those people like that, because they discovered a wealth of serpentine technology within the genetic makeup of bronze people. Our genetic structure, I keep telling you, our genetic material and structure is different. A lot of these so-called black doctors and all that, they're not going to tell you that, right? They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you about their findings. The last person who told them about the findings about, Dr. Charles Drew, where he came up with the blood plasma, right? Which you're going to find, eventually is a form of another form of serpentine technology, which is another form of venom, extended venom, the blood plasma, right? That came out of black people. What happened to him? All of a sudden, he died in a car accident. He was killed in a car accident, and they refused to help him. He's a doctor, and he came with the blood plasma that they used from so-called black people that saved white people's lives, right? Because they didn't want him or black people, so-called black people, aka bronze people, discovering your genetic material or your genetic makeup is more serpentine-like, and the humans are more animal-like, right? Meaning the artificial animals that were created, right, after the water started to subside, land mass started to come up, and they started to create land mass animals. They carry more of that genetic makeup. You carry more of the serpentine technology and makeup. This is why you flake and you shed skin, which you call ashy skin, right? You got their genetic material. This is why you keloid, right? That's your ability to start healing. All that's serpentine technology, right? That is activated by solar projection. Because when I found something interesting, I knew this, but I was reminded of this when I was in Arizona. Enra Rita said that when you put serpents, I think she said you put serpents in the light or in the sunlight or whatnot, put them on something hot, like that's generated by the sun or something like that has heat on it. If you think they're dead, they will start to come back. They will come back. They will come back alive, or they will start to move again. So in that right there, that's a connection, right? That's a solar projection that lies in them. That is within the serpent. That is a connection to solar energy within them. Because I said they are generated by solar power as well. Those serpents are generated by solar power. Right? And as those serpents are generated by solar power, the same way we are generated or we move by solar power, right? Those who are supposed to be able to master the engineering of the serpentine technology. That's really what the elect will do. Telepathic power follows the same extension. And Rari, let me know if I'm right about that thing. I'm pretty sure I'm right about. I heard you say that, and I heard that before about the serpents and things like that. That under sunlight and under heat, they start to regenerate. They start to move around again. I think you said that. Just let me know if I'm right, and Rari. Okay, do that. All right. That's again a connection with us and them. That is a connection with us and them. Right. That solar projection, they move by way of solar energy. Right? They move by way of solar energy. And they tend to not move, that's why you'll find them more visible in tropical areas as opposed to in areas where it's cold. Right? As in areas where it's cold, you don't really find them because they die out in the cold. Same way with us, we don't really move that well in very cold areas. That's part of the serpentine technology. Like I said, our core base, right, and everything here that grows by way of nature, is still all based on serpentine technology, right? It's all based on serpentine technology. Even the way the seeds are planted into the earth, right? It's still based in serpentine technology to grow vegetation out of the earth is still based in serpentine technology. All right. The same way venom is given into the or the bloodstream, whatnot, and things start to you uh start to what's the word I'm looking for um start a reaction in something that you strike. It's the same way the seeds start a reaction or a rupturing in the earth to grow things, right? But it comes out as what? Vegetation, as food. It starts a rupturing. Right? So, again, people really need to, even the so-called religious people, you really need to restudy what the meaning of the serpent was in relation to those accounts in the Bible and in Egypt and whatnot, that people were actually describing technologies there, future technologies. They wasn't just picking up snakes just to be picking up snakes. They wasn't wearing them on their crowns just to be wearing them on their crowns. When you saw a lot of these famous pictures, what they got from our people, we had the serpent on in ancient Egypt on our crowns and our feathers and whatnot, whatever. On the helmets, we had the serpents. What did they do? They produced images like Medusa, right? Where Medusa had the serpents all coming out of her head. Isn't that not a famous picture of the serpents coming all out of the woman's head? Or on the man's head, the serpents coming out of their head? Why is the serpent or different serpents coming out of their head? What does that mean? That represents neurotransmitters. That represents a connection to the Ahmen being and that neurotransmission. That serpentine technology that's coming from their head, connected to something higher. It's not just serpents on that, because all of those images mean something. All of those images mean something. Okay? The way the light streams to the planet, the projected light of sun streams to the planet is serpentine and is serpentine projection. Solar projection is a form of serpentine projection once it gets into the three-dimensional realm. It becomes a form of serpentine projection. Because the whole point of the solar rays coming into the three-dimensional world, into the physical realm, is to strike the planet. Is it not? It is to strike the planet and do what? Impregnate the planet with elements. Same way a snake strikes you and puts venom inside of your system. Okay? It's to strike you. To put elements into the earth. So those projected lights, those projected solar rays, once they reach into here, is striking the planet over and over and over, continuously implanting things here. Genetic material here. Right? Plant life here. Right? Elemental life here. As a way the Ahmen being send it. Right? As they pick it up. As it is relayed toward them. As they picking it up. That's why I said all of the serpents on the planet, they move off of electrical current. And they are direct current because they have a one-track procession. They have a one-track procession. They move about on the earth in a one-track procession to be live wires, to relay messages in and out. They move forward and they move throughout the earth as live wires. And what do you do when you come across a live wire? You make sure you avoid the live wire because you will get electrocuted. You will make sure you avoid the serpent because they will bite you. They will strike you. What do they say when you get struck by lightning? They say you get struck by lightning. What does the serpent do? It strikes you. They use the word strike as in charge. And the charge short circuits something in you because you are an electrical current, you are an electrical solar current, and they move on an electrical solar current and whatnot, and they may take your movement into their areas as a form of aggression, and they will overload you with their venom, with their acidic venom, which will offset your the acid in your body, and it will overdose you and kill you. right? That's how medicine works. If you take too much medicine, it will overdose you and kill you. If you are hit with an electrical charge and you take too much of it in your body, it will offset the electrical current that's already in your body and it will kill you, right? Because you already have the genetic material and the charge that your body needs. And with each extension into the realm of genetic material or extended genetic material, you will develop more. That's why when the brother called, he talked about the gold and things like that, and ingesting that, your genetic makeup is not meant to hold extended gold or silver and things like that, because it will begin to coat certain parts of your system, and it will throw off your transmission over time. It will coat over certain things because you're not going to pass it out, right? You carry just enough of the elements in your body, which is part of the Serpentine technology, to carry you through life. It was already genetically programmed in there for you to carry it that way. The very instruments you listen to that music on is based in serpent technology. Your horns and the sound that you make, it makes when you blow through it. That's serpent technology. How you breathe, the breath you take, the air you gasp, sounds like hissing. It is hissing when you inhaling and you're breathing out. That's hissing, like a serpent. You blow through wind instruments like horns, like flutes, which are, if you look at the flute and you look at the flute and these things like that, they're designed like serpents. You ever see the snake charmers when they blowing into horns, they blowing into the wind instruments, they blowing into the flutes? What do? They show you the serpent coming up out of the basket. You ever see that? The serpent come out of the basket when they blow in the horns, they blow in the flute and stuff like that, right? Why is that? Why does the serpent do that? Why did they show the image of a serpent doing that? Because the serpent is picking up on the tone, the frequency, and the vibration, right? They can't pick up. Now the serpent can't hear, because where's the serpent's ears at? Where the serpent's ears at? So what is it picking up on? It can't hear sound. It's picking up on the tone and vibration, electrical current. You understand? It's picking up on the tone and the vibration, the electrical current that's coming through the hiss and the sound and the tone that you pick up when they play it. That's why they said the snake, when they play a certain instrument, they play a certain tone, and the snake will come up and it'll almost be like it's damn dancing or something, right? It'll come up when they play a certain tone, frequency, and whatnot that they recognize, and will come up, right? Your guitars and your bass and whatnot, the strings on there are based on serpentine technology. You pluck on those strings on guitars and basses and things like that, and the violin, which the stick looks like a serpent, to get certain sound, right? You have to play those strings. You have to blow through it. Right? That's all serpent technology to produce sound. Right? To produce sound. The tapping on the drum with stick, with hand. That is serpent technology. Because serpents do what? Certain serpents do what? They rattle. Right? They have a rattle that strikes the ground. That's what they use. If you ever notice in certain drum ceremonies they play, they use a rattle on the drum. That's from the serpent's rattle. Right? Why do your children like to hear rattles, or you give your children rattles? Right? The sound, the tone, and vibration and frequency excites them. And they find that fascinating when you give them rattles to shake. Right? That's that serpent transmission of technology in them that picks up to that. Same, like I said, who planted who put the rattle on the rattlesnake? Who put the rattle? How was the serpent born with a rattle on? The rattlesnake born with the rattle on it. Who put the rattle on there? Right? Who put the rattle on the rattlesnake? Don't tell me that's not a design. That's a design, right? Because they were given that rattle because they tend to be so deadly. They're given a rattle and they're given a movement and they hiss to warn people that they're coming. The same way when you tend to walk, right, and you hear people coming and whatnot, you don't know if they're gonna, if it's danger or whatever, but you pick up the tone, frequency, and vibration of something that's approaching. They were given the same thing. You can 9 times out of 10 know when the serpent is approaching, right? To stay out of their way, because they represent what? Live wire, right? They represent live wire that carries a current and a charge. You're supposed to stay out of their way because the whole point of them striking is if you step on them, if you impede their path, you could kill them. They have to follow a certain flow continuously. They have to move in on a certain place. They were planted in certain areas for a reason, to move as ley lines, to move as relay systems, and their job and their only job is to move through the planet as ley lines and relay systems to a higher transmission. And they cannot afford to have that impede. So if you come across their path, right, or if, let's just say, you step on a live wire and you stop the reception, what's going to happen? You're going to get shocked, right? Because you're standing in the way of the flow of that energy or the current that's coming through that wire. You stand in the way of that. You're going to break the power. The same way, if you step in their way and you stop them from moving, they strike you because you're breaking their power. You're breaking their form of movement. In a sense, this is why they become dangerous. They become dangerous because you're breaking their current and you're breaking their flow of movement. Okay? And they have to continue moving. If they have to stop to move you out of their way, they were given the ability to strike and to kill to move you out of their way. All right? So that they can go ahead about their business. That's the whole point. Right? That's the whole point of them carrying current, and that, because all that's, like I said, that's electrical current charge within that venom as well. Right? Again, the whole system of Earth, right? The natural order of the system is based on serpentine technology, serpentine current. Solar current, once it hits into this planet, resonates or kicks in as the serpentine or the serpent current. Kicks in as that. You'll have some the mass majority of your serpents are poisonous and venomous. Some of them are not. Right? Just like you got certain wires that are not as they're not as high voltage. It's the same way they got the serpents. You got some who might bite you and might not be as poisonous. They might not bite you. Right? They might be harmless. They carry a lower charge. You understand? They carry a lower charge. And it's the same way that you're supposed to move through the planet. You're supposed to move through the planet with a purpose. Same way, again, this is what gets me back to direct current again. You see how the serpents move through the planet with a direct purpose? That's how we are supposed to become. That's how we're supposed to become. The serpents move through the planet to do nothing but carry power, relay power, and to move on a transmission that is kicked back to the Ahmen being. Their purpose here, that's their direct current. They follow what they're supposed to do. We are not. We're supposed to be moving on the direct current as well, same way they are, right? We're supposed to be moving in a state of power, same way they are, because, again, they are considered powerful creatures, the serpent. Right? So we're supposed to move the same way they move, with that direct current, with that purpose, not with an alternating current. Not on an alternating current. We're always supposed to move with a direct purpose, a direct strike towards something greater. That's the whole purpose of being here. But we were thrown off of that because we move now in an alternating current, right? To throw us off the path of what we're supposed to be here to do, what we're supposed to be here to accomplish. Right? Again, this is why the serpent is another reason why the serpent uh, uh, is venerated in the society, paid homage to because of the directness of the serpent. People, when you deal with the serpent, you already know it strikes what they said. The serpent strikes fear into into people. They strike fear because you already know what a serpent will do. You already know that a serpent will do one or two things. It will strike you and kill you. Well, pretty much that's it. There's no real chance on petting a serpent. There's no real chance unless you get them with domesticated ones. There's no real chance on petting a serpent or, feeding it or doing or taking care of it. Its main objective is to strike anything in its way, anything in its movement. And you, by stopping them, by standing in their way, you are stopping their movement. So they have to move you out of their way. This is why societies and whatnot, you'll notice from the Nazis, when they used the current symbol, the double lightning bolts. That's really not lightning bolts. That's really serpents because again, the serpent and the lightning bolt are synonymous with each other. They have a path toward power and a directness toward that power, and they're not going to take anything in an alternating fashion. So again, this is what the elect is supposed to be here for, to do the same thing. We're supposed to move like a serpent seed, like the serpent seed, which are directly in movement or in motion toward power. That's how we're supposed to move. We're not supposed to move on alternating currents. Right? We're not moving by way of our true nature. Those who are of the elect. We're not moving by way of direct power. We're not moving that way. Again, study the movement of the serpent. Then study the makeup of the biological makeup of woman and man, and then study all the things in nature that work off of this serpentine technology, this tubing system that carries power. Then you get to understand things gradually. You get to understand them more, how things really work. A system, where they say you're being put through a system, right? Say like when they arrest you, right? They send you to a series and they transfer you through a series of buildings, right? You're getting transferred from building to building to building. That's the movement of the serpent. Like I said, even your way of thinking, putting people in place to place to place to place is a form of transportation, aka the tube, right? Because ultimately that's what they want to make in a society after a while anyway, the tube, where you don't really get to see outside everything your whole life. If you ever notice in those futuristic space movies, they show you that very rarely do they show you outside. Everything is an enclosed space going through a tube. You notice that? Rarely do they show you outside because in the future they don't really want to have things, people outside. They want you in tube systems, like you moving through the body of a serpent. When they made the underground railroads, right? The underground railroads were meant to be what? Tubing systems, as if you're moving in a snake through a bigger body, coursing through a body. You understand? As if you're coursing through a body. It's the same thing. All of your thoughts that you receive are always going to have the foundation of serpent technology. And even the greater ones, the higher ones, are going to always have the foundation of serpent technology. The Ahmen beings made us that way to receive that transmission, right? They made us that way to receive that transmission, that all of our thoughts, we can't help it, at the forefront or at the foundation of everybody. So I don't care if you're black, white, whatever technology you're bringing, they're always going to be the foundation of serpentine technology there. It's always going to be there. Right? I don't care what you do. I don't care what you discover. Right? I don't care what it is, but like I said, that flow of current, that flow of energy in a tubing system is always going to be utilized in some way, shape, or form. It will always be pointed out. Right? It will always be pointed out in some way, shape, or form. Because the most important way of carrying all sorts of energy down to the solar energy into this planet is based in serpentine technology. So people have to use that. They have to use that. They don't have any other choice. It's the only way to get ideas to you. Let's take another quick call. Got to be brief. 904.
Hey, yo, how's it going? When you say like reptiles, right? And you said that dinosaurs. So you saying that that we're coming from them?
No, I said that the very first reptiles on the planet were serpents, and they were
Okay.
huge serpents. And out of that, those huge serpents came your dinosaurs and reptiles and whatnot. Every reptile came from the huge serpents,
Okay.
and we carry
Uh,
and everybody on Earth carries their genetic material in some way, shape, or form.
okay. Okay, I have another question based off that then. So like in the Bible when they mention like giants and stuff, is that what they were referring to? Or
Yeah,
how
they
you
were
get what I'm
referring
saying?
to.
Like were they talking about
Yeah,
like the Oh, go ahead. I'm
well,
sorry.
they're talking about everything because everything was much bigger on the Earth at one time and whatnot. Uh,
Mhm.
because the food was fuller and things like that, and so everything was bigger. Even the serpents were bigger in the water and whatnot. Sometimes you'll still find those same serpents. The people were, a little bit bigger, stockier, taller, and things like that. So,
Mhm.
they making reference to life forms on this planet.
Okay, thank you. I got one more thing. So how you saying like sperm is like the male's venom? Do I have that right? Like a male's version, like that's our venom?
Yep, that's venom. Your
How
penis is shaped like a serpent, and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
semen is venom.
That makes a ton of sense. So based on that, like what are ways that I could improve my venom? Like
You gotta
to
check
bring
that
forth.
out yourself. I don't know. You gotta check that out yourself,
All
brother.
right,
I
I
can't
feel
tell
you.
you that.
I feel
I don't
you.
know your
All right,
medical
I
history.
feel you. I feel you. All right, thank you so much.
All right, no problem.
All right, have a good one.
You too. All right, let me answer these questions. What is the serpentine technology of the Ahmen being? Basically, everything that is carried as power through the tubing systems here on the planet, from your genetic material makeup and your biological structure to the way the plant and the tree life grows, because inside the trees they have already, within they have genetic material and genetic engineering in there too, that just basically has the coding of how tall the tree is going to grow, and even in your genetic material, it's already there how tall you're going to be, how much genetic matter you have, and how how old you're even going to get to be. All that's already in your genetic material, right? And that's part of the serpentine technology, because all energy and power is in that tubing system. You have nothing but tubing systems throughout your body. That's all serpentine technology. And throughout the planet, like I said, your train systems, your buses, all that, the moving transportation moves like serpentine technology. Does mankind attempt to utilize it? Of course, all throughout everything. Like I said, all your so-called technology is based on, the foundation of it is based on serpentine technology from the Ahmen Bing. So yeah, we use it every day. Are all logical systems based on it? Yes, it is. Yes. Why? Because the power, the solar projection, once it is streamed into the three-dimensional state of this planet, it moves like serpentine technology. Remember I said how the electrical charge and sunlight streams into this planet, hitting the planet, striking it as if a snake is striking a person. It hits the planet and does what? It plants seeds here. It plants elements here. So it's the same striking system. Earth is struck continuously with solar projection of sunlight to plant things here. Same way a serpent strikes a person and hits you with venom. Right? Why did the Ahmen Bing use serpentine technology? Because they always used it on the other planets. They used them because whatever planet they set up, there has to be a water system here. There has to be water set up first before land mass comes up, and they have to then run serpents through there as ley lines, as relay systems through the water. And they've always used that system within every solar system, those serpents. All right? That's where you get that whole thing of the big water serpent. Remember that movie where they showed you the big water serpent with I forget what the name of that movie was, with Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube. They had the big water snake in the damn thing. I think it was a big water snake. That's real. You got that, and you got certain parts of, and you'll find in certain parts of South America those big water serpents. Right, they still got a lot of them left around. Right. did the Ahmen Bing. Okay, what will what's it? What will be the future of Serpentine technology? Like I said, all the future technology within Serpentine technology, such as levitation, telepathic transmission, all that's future stuff we got. That's all still based in Serpent technology, especially when it hits the Earth. And that's it. We're going to close this out in the name of Ahmen, this broadcast out in the name of Ahmen, by the power of Ahmen, and Ahmen we trust, and Ahmen we think, and Ahmen we continue forward forever. I'm going to be at Restoration Plaza next Sunday, not tomorrow, but next Sunday in Brooklyn, 1368 Fulton Street on the 29th, all right? April 29th. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares. This has been Mentellect Radio.
Rising out the black race to the bright race, out the black race to the bright race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the bright race. If it's hell, Ahmen, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do. We the Republic.